to take you now live to Perth, where the WA Premier Mark McGowan is giving an update on the situation with Cyclone Seroja.
This is a very serious situation and people need to heed the emergency advice. Tropical Cyclone Seroja Tropical Cyclone Seroja is like nothing we have seen before in decades. People need to act to stay safe. There is currently a red alert from south of the Carnarvon townsite to Lancelin. This includes the city of Greater Geraldton, the shires of Carnamah, Coorow, Chapman Valley, Irwin, Mingenew, Morawa, Northampton, Perenjori, Shark Bay, and Three Springs in the Midwest and Gascoyne regions. This means you are in danger and you need to act immediately. DFES advises people in this area should stay inside and shelter in the strongest, safest part of your house or evacuation centre. Keep your emergency kit with you. Stay away from doors and windows and keep them closed. Stay indoors until the all clear is given by the authorities. There is also a yellow alert for Mingenew Roadhouse to Carnarvon, meaning there is a possible threat to lives and homes in that region. Whilst a large portion of our state is facing this emerging and very serious threat, DFES advises Coral Bay to north of Mingenew Roadhouse in the Midwest Gascoyne has now been given the all clear. As Tropical Cyclone Seroja continues to bear down on many areas, DFES will continue to monitor the situation. DFES personnel have been deployed to Geraldton in preparation for Tropical Cyclone Seroja. The incident management team are planning for all contingencies pre and post impact of Tropical Cyclone Seroja to ensure the safety of the community. State Emergency Services, SES volunteers from Geraldton, Greenough, Kalbarri, Shark Bay and Carnarvon are assisting with operations and ready to respond if requested. Marine Rescue Geraldton are assisting with radio warnings. Local volunteer fire and rescue and bushfire brigades across the Midwest Gascoyne and Pilbara are ready to respond and assist. While authorities do everything they can to keep the community safe, I urge people to listen to the advice and follow the instructions. Please visit Emergency WA website or call 13 DFES, that is 133337. Follow DFES on Facebook and Twitter and continue to listen to local news bulletins. This is a very large storm that is posing a very serious threat. Lives and homes are at risk. We expect significant damage. I urge everyone to take this situation seriously, listen to the authorities and act accordingly. I want everyone to stay safe. I'd like to express my great admiration and gratitude for the emergency responders assisting people prepare for this emergency situation. Thank you for everything you are doing. To everyone in these areas, please stay safe and listen to the advice and the warnings. Thank you. I'll hand over to James Ashby from the Bureau of Meteorology.
Thank you, Premier. The latest on Tropical Cyclone Seroja, it's currently just to the west of Dirk Hartog Island, a Category 3 system. It was upgraded this morning. It's still expected to move towards the coast and make landfall as a Category 2 system this evening, with the most likely area between Kalbarri and Geraldton. As it crosses the coast, we're expecting wind gusts of up to 150 kilometres an hour as it moves across those coastal areas, and it will continue to move inland, carrying winds of 125 kilometres an hour or so into the northern parts of the Wheatbelt, southern parts of the Gascoyne, before it's downgraded below tropical cyclone intensity in the early hours of tomorrow morning. It will still, all the way through to Norseman, Esperance, produce wind gusts up in the 100 kilometres an hour range and heavy rainfall as far southeast as Esperance by Monday. Rainfall with the system will be short and intense. The system is moving very rapidly as it moves across the coast, probably moving at around 50 kilometres an hour. So rainfall will be heavy, but for a short period, which increases the risk of flash flooding. That's along the whole path of the cyclone from where it crosses the coast and moves inland and out towards the southeast of the state. Storm surge as the cyclone moves onto the coast is another issue. The piling up of the wind and waves across the coast is a particular threat to areas around the Shark Bay area and to Kalbarri. So that can cause flooding of low-lying coastal areas. As I mentioned, the cyclone will be moving very quickly as it makes landfall and moves across inland parts of the state. So weather conditions will deteriorate rapidly for people in the path of the cyclone. These peak conditions, the worst of the conditions for any given location, is expected to last around 3 hours. As the Premier mentioned, this is an unusual and rare event for the state. A cyclone impact on the central part of the west coast is not common and hasn't happened for decades. So it poses an enhanced risk for communities that aren't familiar with this type of weather. I'll now hand you over to Commissioner Clem to talk from DFES point of view. Thank you.
Thanks, James. So what we're seeing now is a red alert has been put on at 3 o'clock, and that red alert will go all the way from south of the Carnarvon town site to Lancelin and inland to Morawa and Latham. So people in that red alert area, the message now is very clear. You cannot go outside your home. You cannot go outside the evacuation centre that you would be in. All that planning that you've done, the information that's been provided from DFES over the last 2 or 3 days, that the cyclone is now going to impact into that red alert area. And so people must stay inside and activate their emergency plan. Now's the time to make sure that that emergency kit that you've got is at hand. Understand that there will be times over the next 6 to 7 hours where you may not have internet coverage, you may not have mobile phone coverage. Your ABC radio, battery-operated ABC radio, AM radio is absolutely crucial to you staying up to date with the alerts as they're given. From around about 4 o'clock this afternoon, we'll start to see the impact of those of the cyclone in the red alert area, and that will continue on, as James has already said, until well into after midnight tonight. Also, with flash flooding, we must be very aware that once we get through into tomorrow and into Tuesday, understand that what we don't want to see is people driving into flooded streams and rivers. We've already seen the last couple of days, unfortunately, loss of life in the very north of the state, not related to this cyclone, but it just reinforces that message again about the dangers for the community driving into floodwaters where the depth is not known. Extensive planning has gone into place over the last 4 or 5 days by DFES in conjunction with the federal government, and we've already have put in place assistance through Emergency Management Australia. Liaison officers will be arriving here tomorrow. Already discussions have happened with the ADF in relation to the use of heavy lift aircraft being pre-positioned up in Exmouth, and they'll be in place by the middle of tomorrow. And DFES only 2 hours ago, other states and territories, we've been on a teleconference where additional resources have been identified and readied to be deployed into Western Australia should we require them. We won't know the extent of those resources that we require until we get an understanding of the level of damage that's occurred, and that may not be until maybe middle of tomorrow and a little bit further on. So all the planning's been put in place by DFES, great assistance from the federal government, great assistance from the state government, and now we need that assistance from people out in the community to make sure that they follow those clear directions of a red alert, stay inside. It is imperative that you stay inside tonight in that red alert area. Don't even think about coming out until tomorrow, and make sure you're listening through, if you don't have coverage of the internet or mobile phone, that you have got that AM radio with the batteries to follow those warnings as they come out. Thank you.
Just want to remind everyone we are in a state of emergency. While we've been in a state of emergency for now over 12 months due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this is now a fresh, new emergency situation. Over the areas that have just been announced, there is a red alert. I remind everyone, we've been well connected over the last 12 months in dealing with the state of emergency. West Australians have listened to the authorities and have responded really well in terms of the COVID-19 pandemic. What I implore you all to do now is to listen once again and act as advised. The advice is very clear. In these red alert areas, you cannot move. Do not leave your buildings, do not drive your vehicles, do not operate your businesses. We've also heard that this destructive wind will start from at least 4 o'clock this afternoon and will go in overnight. Please do not move about at night. There is almost certainly going to be power poles down. There'll be likely to be a risk of electrocution. We don't want people moving around in the night time. So listen, as you've already been advised, to the radio. Ensure that you do not move while the state of emergency and the situation is current. Regrettably, we've had one person lose their life in Coral Bay yesterday. A 38-year-old man was found dead near a pole that had fallen over in the Coral Bay area. We do not want any more lives lost in this situation. So once again, please listen to the authorities and do not act without the advice. Thank you.
So I'll take initial questions if you like, and then perhaps defer to others if there's things I don't know the answer to. You good?
With big weather events like this in the past, there's been incidents of people getting down and bunkering down together and drinking, so-called cyclone parties. What would you say to people who are considering that type of behaviour?
Well, I just urge people not to do that and to take every precaution. The cyclone will hit later on today, and it's going to hit an area that hasn't been hit by a cyclone in at least 40 years. So these communities are not used to this. And people in these areas are not from the normal cyclone-prone areas in the Pilbara and further north. So people in these communities between south of Carnarvon and down to Lancelin and everywhere in between, including inland, please listen to the precautions, stay home, make sure you take every security measure for yourself and your families. These things, cyclones are very unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen, and they do kill people. So you just need to do everything you can to keep yourself and your family safe.
Do you have a plan for financial support for those impacted by this cyclone? Once all this goes through, is there an estimate on how much this is going to cost WA?
No, we don't have the estimate of what it will cost yet because it hasn't arrived yet, and we haven't seen whatever damage is going to be caused, so that's something for the future. We do know that it will cause damage in the area in which it hits, particularly to the north of the area in which it hits the coast. So that's something that we are awaiting. Through the inland areas, there's the prospect of flash floods as well. So I'd just say to everyone in those shires I outlined before, including, in fact, across the whole wheat belt, to be honest with you, be careful of flooding, be careful of driving across a creek bed or a river, be careful of those things, because those things can kill people and cause loss of life that is sometimes unexpected because the flash flood arrives very, very quickly. We do have the arrangements that will kick in after this for the emergency relief, disaster relief funding arrangements that will kick in. All of that work is being done currently. I've been in touch with the Prime Minister this afternoon to thank the Commonwealth for their pre-positioning of assets in Western Australia to assist, and that's predominantly aircraft. And we're also securing support from other states in terms of emergency crews and the like. So we're treating this very seriously. We're not taking any precautions here. If we need more support from the Commonwealth, we won't hesitate to ask for it. And I've advised the Prime Minister of that. And these are times that all levels of government should work cooperatively. David?
No.
You good? Nothing from me? Thank you.
The track map has sort of going over Geraldton. He's talking about in your statement days sort of the properties in the north of Geraldton. I know it's hard to predict, but
Yeah, so I said it would cross likely between Kalbarri and Geraldton. It doesn't take much change to the cyclone track for it to pass directly over Geraldton or to the south of Geraldton or even to the north of Kalbarri. So, but generally that area, that Kalbarri to Geraldton area, is the area most at risk of a direct impact of the system. As the Premier mentioned, the worst conditions with this system will occur on the northern side of the track. So conditions on the southern side will be significantly less than anything to the north. So anywhere, if the track looks like going to the south of you, then you're likely to experience this period of really very destructive winds, gusts up to 150 kilometres an hour. Anywhere near the track is going to have a short period of intense rainfall that could lead to the flash flooding. And near the coast, north of the track, that dangerous storm surge is a real issue.
So the cyclone itself is around 150 k's an hour winds packing, and nearby is still going to be pretty destructive winds.
Absolutely, absolutely. So close to the core of the cyclone, that's when you get the most intense winds. Further out, out to sort of 100 to 150 kilometres away from the cyclone centre, you can experience gale force winds. So it will cover a wide swathe of area that will be impacted by this system, but it's close to the centre and particularly just to the north of the centre that the worst of the conditions will be.
Are you happy to take our question?
Sure. Me? Yeah.
Premier, in your discussion with the Prime Minister today, did you discuss the COVID vaccines? He's just announced that there's no set plan, no plan to have a target for everyone to have their first vaccine.
No, we didn't. We've been communicating by means other than speaking to each other. No, we didn't. Obviously, with the problems with AstraZeneca, it wouldn't surprise me if the date for the full rollout of the vaccine moves sideways. I think that's to be expected now. And I just urge the Commonwealth to secure as many vaccines of other varieties as possible, in particular Pfizer, as soon as possible. Clearly, this is going to cause a much longer delay in the rollout of the vaccines.
Speaking to the AMA about this earlier today, he said there's advice around AstraZeneca. It's not a problem. Very low risk though, and AstraZeneca is more likely to stop COVID, so people should be allowed to take it.
Well, people are allowed to take it. So the advice we provided on Friday to everyone was if you're over 50, get the vaccine as soon as you can, as soon as you're eligible. If you're under 50, get some medical advice before you get vaccinated, but you're still eligible to take AstraZeneca. So that's the medical advice we received. At National Cabinet on Friday, the Director of the Federal Department of Health was very adamant that people should get vaccinated as soon as they could with AstraZeneca if they're above the age of 50 years. So if you can get vaccinated, you should.
The message seems to be don't use AstraZeneca if you're under 50, but I think a lot of people probably still want to use it. The message that we provided was if you're 50 or over, you should get vaccinated as soon as you can with whichever is available to you, including AstraZeneca. If you are under the age of 50, you should just get some medical advice in relation to that matter, but you're still eligible to take AstraZeneca. So that is the advice that we have been given by the medical professionals. And I'd urge people to listen to that advice. The sooner we get West Australians, vaccinated, the better it will be for our entire country. And other countries are moving very rapidly to get vaccinated. So the problem with AstraZeneca appears to hit one person in 250,000. That appears to be the rate of which the blood clotting happens. So 1 in 250,000 is the European experience. The advice we have is if you've had your first vaccination or your first dose of AstraZeneca and you haven't had any medical problem, any blood clotting or the like, you will have no problem in getting your second dose. So that was the advice we received on Friday. So all I'd say is I'd urge people to get vaccinated as soon as they can, but I do understand that this issue will slow down the rollout of the vaccine. That is understandable, and that's what I urge the Commonwealth to get as many other sorts of vaccines in place as soon as they possibly can.
Premier, just really quickly, did you come across Prince Philip in any of his visits to Perth over the years?
I saw him once. It must have been in the late 90s. He came here with the Queen. I think I was in my first term as a Member of Parliament, and I think Richard Court was the Premier. So I went to a function at Government House in the gardens there with the Queen and Prince Philip. I saw him from a distance, but I don't think I met him. I wasn't one of the inner circle. But I do wish his family, in particular the Queen, all the very best during this difficult time. He's been someone who's been there for my entire life, and someone who has had a long and distinguished life, in particular his years of service in the Second World War. So he's been an institution for many people across the world, and he's done a lot of good deeds in his life, and I know he'll be very much missed. Thank you.
We've been hearing there from WA authorities with an update on approaching Cyclone Seroja. It is currently a Category 3 system west of Dirk Hartog Island and is expected to make landfall